Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Iconic Insights podcast. So today we are joined by Jeanne McDonagh from the Open Doors initiative, and she is going to discuss building an inclusive workforce in Ireland. Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Iconic Insights podcast. So today we are joined by Jeanne, and she is the CEO of the Open Doors initiative. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
No worries. And how we normally start each podcast episode is we do a few quick fire questions just for our audience to get an idea of the personality behind our guest. So I guess we'll start with them. Oh, and welcome, Sean, as well. Sorry.
That's okay. No problem at all. Jeanne, thank you very much for taking the time out to join us. Like Sean has already kind of touched on there. The first quick fire question that we're going to throw at you is, what was your first job title?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I think I was working in the States. I was picking weeds, so weed picker.
Okay, interesting.
And what word do you hate hearing?
Soon. Yes, I like it now.
Now.
If you had to change your first name, what would you change it to?
Where are you getting these questions from? Seriously.
I actually made them up.
They do get easier. I can assure you they do get a little bit easier.
Probably a man's name, because it seems to get you places a lot quicker. So I don't know, Matthew.
I love that. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
What's your go-to comfort food?
Focaccia.
Favorite type of music?
Oh, anything. I like all music. Eclectic.
And what's one thing that you can't live without?
Dare I say it? Cigarettes.
Mine was mine, so. The best advice you've ever received?
Oh, I've got a lot of advice from various mentors and people over the years. There's no one best advice, but I suppose try it.
Yeah,
try it. Yeah,
I like it.
Brilliant.
Do you have any pets?
No, not at the moment.
What has been your favorite age so far?
27.
What is your favorite hobby outside of work?
Walking.
Last concert you attended?
I cannot even remember. Sorry.
No, that's okay. What's the top item on your bucket list?
My bucket list, not dying.
And have you ever won a contest?
Yes. For art.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
Brilliant. So that's our quick fire questions wrapped up. You'll be glad to know, Jeanne. We're now going to, I suppose, kick into the podcast. And I suppose the best place for us to start, if you don't mind, is could you share a little bit about your background and your career journey to date?
Sure. Well, I've a 30-year or more experience in inclusion work and politics, campaigning, mental health, LGBTQ issues and board work. So I worked in communications, the US Embassy, the Bar Council of Ireland, the Our Lady's Hospice, Diageo, and campaigning through the Yes Equality campaign and work with AIDS and HIV. And I have bipolar, which informs my work through lived experience.
Okay. And how did you become involved with the Open Doors initiative then, Jeanne? Was it as part of that work or?
Kind of, yeah. I was working in Diageo and I was running the Learning for Life, which is training in hospitality for people from marginalised backgrounds. And we ran our first one with refugees in the Mosney Direct Provision Centre. And that was a huge success. We worked with the Department of Justice. We worked with other bodies to create it. And David Stanton, who was the Minister for Equality at the time, gave the impetus to grow it and to work with more companies. So that was in the end of June, July. And in September, we launched with 14 companies and 8 supporting partners who are NGOs who work in different sectors. And that was in 2018, and it has grown since then. So founder and CEO starting off.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
You're incredibly busy anyway, by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
An understatement.
And obviously you've worked with different companies since 2018. So when it comes to today, what do you think is the biggest challenge Ireland faces in building an inclusive workforce?
Lack of information. I mean, 1/5 of the population was not born in Ireland, for example, and 22% identify as having a disability. And I think there's a lot of lack of information and understanding around the different types of people who come to work and the skill sets they have. And they can be in hard to reach places. They may need permits. They may need reasonable accommodation. They face barriers, but they're more than willing to go the extra mile to secure work and to work really hard. And we have found the companies we work with, they have truly held values in this area, and they want to see people succeed. And they want the benefits of diversity that comes to companies as a result of hiring a mixed workforce from different backgrounds and abilities. So we think that that's the major problem. It's a lack of confidence in hiring people who are different to you. And yet it is that very difference that makes the benefit for the company.
Definitely. And let's say with the Open Doors initiative, so obviously the goal there is to build employment levels with marginalised groups in Ireland, let's say. And one of the, let's say, scenarios that you work with would be Pathways to Progress, would be the campaign basically that you have. So could you tell us a bit about that? I know you've mentioned you've worked with asylum seekers, refugees, migrants. So just really the resources that are available through that campaign and that initiative, and the likes of, let's say, when it comes to, does it address entrepreneurship? What training is available? What education can they access through that initiative there?
So Pathways to Progress is one of our newer programs within Open Doors. It's open about 2 years, and it was launched by our then chair, Jeanne McDonagh, who was CEO of Bank of Ireland, and the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, along with a number of participants. It addresses different types of employment, education, and entrepreneur issues. So our Job Ready program, for example, would be the A to Z of getting ready for a job, CV, interview skills, STAR method, anything that gets people ready to start applying for positions, your LinkedIn profile, all of those things that we just take for granted. We also have career paths, which will work with individual companies. It's kind of a careers fair, and we bring participants together and they apply directly to the companies. They're interviewed on the spot. They're given background on the various roles to see if they're of interest to them. And we take it from there. We have a mentoring and expert assistance program across all our programs that we have found mentoring is one of the key ways to get people into employment, because it puts them on a level playing field with other people who are applying for the jobs, gives them the skills they need, and gives them a confidant, a friend to help them through the process.
Yeah.
And our mentors are all from the businesses we work with. So they have been through the process, they are trained, they come through, and then they help others. And they have certainly found it's as beneficial for them as it is for the mentee, because they learn so much, and it's such a great process. We have paid long-term internships with companies we work for, which gives people an opportunity to experience work culture in Ireland, to experience what it is like to work, say, in an office or wherever they have their work, their internship. And and it gives them something on their CV. A lot of our internships have turned into full-time jobs because the quality of the people we're putting forward is so high, and they're so skilled and so eager to learn. So that's been really, really beneficial. And then on the entrepreneurship, we run an entrepreneurship course with TU Dublin. The one for migrants is sponsored by Broadlake, and that is a 12-week intensive course on everything you need to start your own business and become an entrepreneur.
Okay, brilliant. So I guess with that, if someone from, let's say, like an asylum seeker or refugee or migrant was looking to become self-employed, that would be the resource that they would probably go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That and the mentoring, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Brilliant.
Sounds very rewarding, to be fair, Jeanne.
It's good days and bad days, like
I well believe it. Is there an opportunity, Jeanne, and I'm just thinking out loud here based on the answer you gave there, if it's a case that a company does identify, that there's a skill set that a refugee, an asylum seeker or a migrant could potentially fill, is it just the companies that you currently have partnerships that can work with the Open Doors, or is it open to other companies to try and get involved with?
At the moment, we work with large companies because we have a small team and it's a capacity issue, but we are looking to expand that out to an offering for SMEs. And it's something we're actively working on at the moment. Excellent. That we find ways of working with them directly.
Brilliant. And I know you mentioned out the mentors as well. So they are currently in the companies that you would get the employment through. So if, let's say, someone from our contractor community wanted to get involved and support someone from this group, is there any way at the moment they can do so, or is that a work in process as well?
It is a work in process. Yeah. We sometimes go outside the group if we're looking for a specific skill set, if someone has a more niche area.
Yeah.
But at the moment, just again, because of capacity, we can only work with the mentors we have. But look, what I would say is if someone is interested in the work, do get in touch. It's info@opendoorsinitiative.ie, and we will talk to you and see where we're at with the whole process and take them on. But yeah, I mean, we are an inclusive organization. We work with over 130 different organizations, companies. We want to be as inclusive as possible. So it's just a matter of working out the logistics of how we do it.
Yeah, because a lot of the contractors, they would have specialized skill sets. So definitely, if anyone out there is looking to get involved, absolutely reach out. And I know, moving on, just let's say to another initiative that the Open Doors have is Employers for Change. So that is particularly focused on supporting companies hire people with disabilities. So could you share some of the key resources and initiatives available through that?
Yeah, we, again, Employers for Change is aimed at employers, as it says, to make them more disability confident. And it's a free advice service. We offer training, knowledge sharing, research and toolkits. All our work in Open Doors is based on research. And also bringing in the lived experience of the people we work with. So we're not preaching to them. They're telling us what they need, and we work on that basis. Employers tend to feel they don't have the lack of knowledge, despite 1/5 of the population having a disability and their family, their friends, knowing someone who has a disability. And also 70% of disabilities are acquired in your working life. So chances are you will work with someone who acquires a disability. So it's about learning and informing yourself. It's about talking to employees and finding what they need as opposed to putting something on them. And it's called reasonable accommodation, and it is reasonable. It's not about knocking walls. It's about small tweaks like assistive technology, flexible start times, quiet space, remote working. And it's not just physical. Everyone has the image of a person in a wheelchair. It could be cancer. It could be migraines. It could be an intellectual disability. It could be neurodiversity. So there's a very wide range of disabilities, and each has their own particular needs. So Employers for Change tries to educate people on that, employers, and what is best practice, and helps them with things like an accommodation passport or training or seminars that informs them of best practice and how to go about working with someone with the disabilities to the best of advantage for both people.
Brilliant. And I guess, as you said there, it's a very broad area. It's not a one size fits all, and it's very tailored to specific of a person. But if, let's say, what would be the key steps you would say to someone growing a business to ensure that their workplace is accessible and inclusive?
Well, get up to speed, get knowledge, make sure you're doing, the right thing from the person's point of view. And as I said, some buildings just aren't accessible for a physical disability. But see if there's sort of simple solutions that can be put in place. And most of them are very simple. There's also grants available from the government for training, for making accommodations, for getting tech. So you're not on your own. And we have a full range of information on the government grants on our website, employersforchange.ie. And you can book an appointment with one of our specialists, and they will walk you through it, and they will help you as much as they can on it. We also do inclusive recruitment training, which is a broader take on hiring people from different backgrounds and abilities. And that is a lot of our companies have found that very beneficial. For example, AIB trained up 1,000 of their employees in this area alone. So there is a lot of information out there. Get informed is what I'd say.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you think it's something that needs to be discussed more openly in the workplace as well, Jeanne? Like, some of them statistics obviously are startling to me. I personally wouldn't be as educated as I should be on it, but to hear that 70% of disabilities actually, can happen within the kind of work-life period, do you think it needs to become a more open discussion in workplaces, both from SME right the way up to kind of large multinationals?
Absolutely. I mean, it affects all of us some way or another. If we don't have a disability ourselves, we know someone who does. And why not normalize it? Why make it different? Why other people, and also it's very infuriating for the person who has a disability themselves to be treated differently. I mean, they're in the workplace on merit. They're there because they can do the job. It's not tokenistic. So it's very important that we do normalize it. And as I said before, be led by the person. I mean, they don't want to be known just as the person with the disability. They want to be known as, I don't know, Rob, who plays soccer, who, is really good at sales and happens to have a disability as well. Now, some people are disability first. They identify themselves as a disabled person. Other people refer to the term person with disabilities. Again, talk to the person, ask them, what do you prefer? It's kind of like the pronouns, what is your preferred pronoun? How do you prefer to be identified? And can you help me? But go with knowledge, do the background work. Don't rely on the person as a dictionary for all things and all people disabilities. Do your background work and say, listen, I read this. How do you find this? Do you find this to be true? What else can I do to inform myself? But do it in a holistic way. It's a whole person. It is not just their disability. There's so much more to everyone. And and be a good colleague, as you would with any colleague, and people have good days and bad days. And it mightn't be anything to do with the disability at all. It might be just, I'm in really crap mood, and we all have that. So, don't be pinning everything on the disability, but see them as a whole person.
Brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. And obviously all the resources that you've mentioned, we'll make sure to link them obviously in the bio as well. But they'll be a great help for someone to kind of do that background research, education, and then inform themselves before they actually have that conversation internally as well.
Yeah.
So the next question, I guess, really to start closing off for today. So with our listeners, so how can they get involved and support the Open Doors initiatives? Like if it's advocating, mentoring, their likes of changing their daily operations in their SMEs. So what would you say the best way for them to support the Open Doors initiative?
Well, there's several ways. Firstly, we very much follow an ethos of corporate social justice, whereby an organisation, just by dint of existing, causes a ripple effect throughout its community, be it its employees, its stakeholders, its board, its local community, the wider society. And they can choose to have a positive impact. And we, of course, encourage that. So we very much look to work with companies who live that ethos and who do that and are values driven, positive values driven. And even helping one person into employability can make a huge difference to that person's life, their family's life, their friend's life. You know, it does have a ripple effect. So when we get our SME platform up and running, I would love to talk to as many people as possible about how they can work with us. You know, supporting our work, supporting us on social media. If you've a spare 10K down the back of the sofa, we'll take that. You know, anything that goes towards supporting the work and our ethos is of benefit. And you know, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we have our websites. We have 4 websites now. Towards Work is the other program we didn't get to talk about, but it's people with directly aimed at people with disabilities. Again, a load of information there. But yeah, I mean, do the right thing, be a good employer, help people and help them get ahead. And they won't be with you forever. If you're a good employer, you will help them have career retention and progression. And keep that at the back of your mind that you should be building them up so they fly. And I think that's really important to bear in mind as well.
Yep, excellent. Obviously, you've touched on a couple of the goals that the Open Doors initiative has for the next couple of years, Jeanne. Is there any other, I suppose, goals in mind apart from kind of widening, I suppose, the opportunity to work with SMEs as an example? Have you got any other kind of aims to achieve over the next 5 years?
Well, we've helped over 100,000 people to date in our first 5 years. It's actually more than that because we haven't got the numbers for last year. And we want to build on that, quadruple it, triple it, whatever.
That's incredible.
We want to work with more companies and more people and help more people into education, employment and entrepreneurship, employability we call it, and help them achieve their goals, because by doing so, they help all around them and it helps them integrate into wider society. Work is so important, you know, to a person. It fills your day, it fills your week, it gives you a sense of purpose. And we want that for everyone who can and wants to work. We really want to try and build on that. And I mean, who knows, export the idea to other countries, see if we can get it going in other places. We haven't come across our model, except as a company similar to ourselves in Australia. So we would like to see this ethos growing. And also one thing that's very important is it's not just for the good times. It's not a trinket to take off the shelf to win awards or to paint a wall blue. It's about a deeply held commitment for the good times and the bad times. So if recession comes, you don't immediately cut the very people who need work the most, you know, and I think that's important as well. It's not we're not a good time organization. We're an all time organization, and that's when we need the support most, because it's easy now at a time of full employment. Everyone wants to hire someone, and they're willing to go to pools they wouldn't have considered before. But that has to follow through in bad times as well.
Definitely. And I think the final note is what excites you the most about the progress being made in Ireland towards an inclusive workforce, and what message would you like to leave with our listeners?
It's not about just wishing someone well. You have to be an ally and an activist. You have to take positive action to bring about change. And that's what I've always learned through campaigning. And so there's no point sitting on the sideline saying, oh, the poor person or whatever, and, you know, sort of seeing them as lesser. You actually have to get off your rear and do something. And I think that's really important. And also to see the benefits. Like, we have 7 nationalities on our team. We've a range of disabilities. We've people from different backgrounds, beliefs and identities. And it makes us a very strong and powerful team. We're a force to be reckoned with. And I've seen nothing but benefits from that diversity. It's immense. And just even the ideas generated, the ways of coming at problems with solutions. So it's been a huge benefit to Open Doors. And I'd love to see that benefit in other companies as well. And it just requires people to be active about it and think outside the box and think laterally and see the benefits of someone. They mightn't have the exact skills or qualifications for a role, but they can be trained in that if they have the aptitude. So I think that's really important. It's just open your mind.
Definitely. I think that's a good note to end on. And it kind of moves on to our contractor dilemma. So I know I'd mentioned we finish every podcast with this, particularly with your campaigning background. The really question is, it's about resilience, and it's, let's say one of our contractor communities asked about how you can be resilient and how professionals can bounce back when they are going through a tough time. So would you have any recommendations on staying resilient during your job search?
Yeah, I think you need to build your confidence. I think you need to network, and I think you need to reskill. So confidence, you can't waste. Look, to be given time off work is in a way a gift. You don't get that in your working life a lot. So don't waste the free time worrying. Use it to do something. Be active. Literally be active. Exercise. Clear your mind. Do all those things that build confidence. You know, read, upskill, do courses. There's free courses in Springboard and different and ETBs. You know, join our Job Ready program. You know, rehash all your skills. Say, oh, is my CV good enough? What could I change? What's the best practice out there? That's wide open. And the other thing is network. I mean, most jobs come through someone you know. So network, LinkedIn, Chambers events, any events you can see that you can attend, and be proactive. And it's not for everyone. Some people find it very uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, all it is having a conversation with someone who's probably thinking to themselves, did I switch off the immersion? You know, are the kids okay in school? You know, we're all human at the end of the day. And I think it's really important that you go in with that mindset. You're just having a conversation, you're just a chat. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch all the time. It could be someone you meet now that will help you in 6 months' time. But it's really important to network. Yeah. Absolutely. So confidence, network and upskilling. Yeah.
Brilliant. So that's perfect advice.
Yeah, I love that advice. Just before we do let you go, Jeanne, that's something that I've tried to push people to understand, even when they're at the interview stage, so not even at the networking stage, but beyond that, see it as a conversation and you'll give the best version of yourself. If you see it as a tense interview, you're not going to be in a position where you can give the best version of yourself. So that's really, really valuable. Again, we'd like to thank you so much for your time, Jeanne. We understand and appreciate exactly how busy you are, especially more so now after that conversation. And again, we're going to make sure that we link as many of the resources as possible so that all of our audience and listeners can I suppose get access to them as soon as they have listened to our podcast.
Great. Thank you so much. And look forward to talking to you again when we have the SME platform online.
Absolutely. Make sure you do. We'll be waiting for it. Thanks again, Jeanne.
Thank you.
All right. See you now.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.